basketball tonight in Newport News, Virginia. It is Denby versus Woodside in the City Showcase. Hi again, everybody. I'm Greg Bickaveris along with Nate Milton from Woodside High School. Nate, a great city rivalry, and anything goes.
Absolutely right, my friend. I can't think of a better way than to kick off our basketball coverage for 2019. This is a matchup where you can take the records and throw them out the window because anything could happen.
It's important to get off to a good start.
Right. You want to set the pace early. You want to set the tone. And we're going to see, can Denby come out here and establish themselves on the visiting court?
All right, let's get down to the court for the action here. And the officials tonight are Mike Powers, Robert Calloway, Aurelius Willis. I like the fact you have three officials.
Yeah, give them a better opportunity to make the correct calls, make the proper calls. The officials, as we talked about during our wrestling match earlier the year, they do so much, and they're such a vital part of the athletics here in Newport News.
Absolutely. Greg Bickaveris along with Nate Milton. And, of course, the head coach of Denby is Nick Chamblay, and Woodside, Stefan Welsh, and we know about Welsh, who went to Arkansas and played basketball here.
Yep, Stefan Welsh, I think that was a great hire by Woodside High, bringing that, link to the lineage and the history of Woodside basketball. Stefan Welsh is a guy that made his name here at Woodside. Like you said, went on to play big-time college basketball. And so for him to come back and teach these young men, these new Wolverines, about the game, I think that was a really good call by Woodside.
And, of course, Denby starters are Jakari Wilkins, Raekwon Britt, Justice Thomas, Anthony Johnson, Eric Miller. For Woodside, it is Karan Coleman, Hushawn Brevard, Khalif Jimison, Yamarius Ely, Matt Nunes. Again, you have to throw all the records away. Woodside's got double-digit wins, but, of course, right now you got to focus on tonight and then try to go forward from there.
Right. If you're Woodside, you're obviously the favorite coming into this matchup tonight. But on any given Sunday, any given Monday, any given Tuesday, anything can happen. So Denby's got to come out here. They want to have some energy. They want to take the crowd out of this game early on. And we'll see if they're able to do that against the very game Woodside Wolverine squad.
We're at Woodside High School at Newport News, Virginia. Greg Bickaveris, Nate Milton. For more, log on to nnpstv.com. Hope you enjoyed our wrestling match we did in January. That was a lot of fun. And one thing about football, we do a football game, that is 48 minutes. This is only 32 minutes.
Yeah.
By the time you blink, it's over.
Right, and so that's why pace is so important. That's why getting off to a good start, like you mentioned, is so very important. So we're going to see, can Denby come in here and make some things happen early on in the first minutes of the game?
And of course, we gave the starting lineups early. Shot selection, attack the glass, transition, play your game, not the opponent, focus, intensity, and of course, focus on the now.
Exactly. You also want to make sure you're aware of possession. You want to have good ball control, eliminate the turnovers because mistakes can cost you, and then that bench support, Greg, that's going to come up big to determine which team takes the win.
Absolutely. 32 minutes of hardwood action about to start here. Stefan Welsh and his team beat Denby earlier this year, but every game is almost like its own island. It really doesn't matter what you did your last game because once you get to tournament time, anything can happen.
And this is a very important game for Woodside. They want to make sure they head into the postseason with some momentum, with some positive energy.
Let's listen to the public address announcer.
Patriots and your Woodside Wolverines. At this time, please rise if you're able.
National anthem.
All mats to the singing of our national anthem by Woodside Magnet students and seniors, Jason Holmes and Elijah Goods.
By the daughter
All right, back here at Woodside High School, Newport News. Greg Bicaveras along with Nate Milton. And always a lot of fun for high school basketball.
First for Denby. Number 1, Raekwon Britt. Number 2, Charlie Wilkins.
Public address announcer is doing his thing.
Number 3, Justice Thomas. Number 4,
We mentioned the lineup already. It's Wilkins, Britt, Thomas, Johnson, Miller for Denby. For Woodside, it's Coleman, Brevard, Jimison, Ely, and Nunez. Denby likes the motion, dribble drive offense, 2-3 man defense. Strength is they work hard, weakness is the rebounding. For Woodside, they like the UVA style offense, pro set, variety, defense, full court, matchup zone. Strength for Woodside is speed, weakness is the youth. Very young team for Woodside.
Yeah, and you got to admire the job that Coach Welsh has done so far this year with the Woodside Wolverines. A very young team, but he's guided them to double digits in the win column. And so tonight, they've got the crowd behind them. They've got the home court advantage. We're going to see if that teaching and that tutelage has come to fruition. Can Woodside defend their home court against the Denby Patriots?
Of course, you see all the great banners around here, the state champions in basketball in 04, as well as 05, under John Richardson, who's been an assistant at Old Dominion and Virginia Tech. Denby will be wearing the red, Woodside the white. Now, Denby girls do not have a team at all in varsity. It's a shame, and hopefully next year they can.
Yeah, and that's something you always, especially now with the way that women's sports and girls' sports have become such a fixture, you hate to see that happen, but we know that Denby's going to get that back on track, and hopefully they'll be able to field the team next season.
All right, we see the lineup here for Woodside. Love their uniforms. Woodside in their 23rd year of school existence. Denby, of course, the second oldest school in Newport News behind Warwick. A lot of the pink action tonight. Think pink, huh?
Absolutely. It's a nice color. It's a nice color.
All right, always a lot of fun.
Now we are in February, my friend, the month of love.
Yes, Valentine's month. No wrestling tonight, folks. This is basketball. Here we go. Officials, Powers, Callaway, Willis. Denby in the red. 8-minute quarters. Here come the Patriots. Shakari Wilkins. Outside jumper is off. Good hustle by the Patriots. That's important, that hustle early, Nate.
Yeah, that's an excellent job by Denby, making sure that they can go out there and track down that loose ball, giving themselves another opportunity to put up a shot.
And the Wolverines get it. Playing at their home court, always tough to win on the road for Denby, even though it's not that far. Still the home court advantage for Woodside. Denby gets it in the red.
Johnson crashing the boards right there.
Yep, Denby likes that motion offense, dribble drive.
I think the thing we're seeing early on, Greg, is Woodside looks to be more physical than Denby, but Denby's showing a lot of hustle early on.
You see Denby's coach right there as well, standing up. His name is Nick Chambly, wearing the all-black, black shirt, black pants. He went to Hampton High School and St. Augustine in the CIAA. No score. See, Woodside's got a lot of tall trees out there.
Yeah, I think, from a physical standpoint, Woodside would have to have the advantage, Greg, just looking at him right now. But Denby can overcome that by, passing the ball, using a lot of motion with the ball, movement, and spacing on the floor.
It's great to be coached by a player in his alma mater as well, in Welsh. And nice shot right there by number 1. That's Nunez. And he gets the rebound as well. Great box out there.
I really like Nunez. I think, he's a player with a lot of potential. Going back to what you were mentioning about Stephon Welsh, Greg, I think credibility is the word I would use because the kids know that he's gone out there and he's done it. So he's not going to ask them anything that he hadn't done himself already.
Exactly. He's been down this path before. And these games in February make March even better.
Right. This is how you set up. You want to have that momentum. You want to have a positive experience going into championship month.
Nice jumper by number 3. That's Coleman. Already Woodside up to a 7-0 lead. Want to thank Paul Macklin for all his help. The Woodside AD. Denby's AD, of course, Brian Weaver. 23-year rivalry here between Denby and Woodside. A lot of these kids grew up with each other, don't live that far from each other. This is an excellent rivalry in basketball. I'm so glad we're doing this game. 7-0. And now it is 7-2.
Denby finally getting on the board there. We're able to get that second chance rebound and put it back in for the score. And I really like what I've seen so far from Woodside, though, Greg, with the physicality that they show and the toughness inside.
You got to rotate the players, keep them fresh, keep that desire for 32 minutes like that right there. Avoid foul trouble early. Stay in the game. Do not get behind early.
Right. You want to keep moving with the ball, Greg.
And moving without the ball, too.
Moving without the ball, too. Crash the boards and be effective. That's what I like so far from Nunez. He's been crashing the boards. You want to play inside and out, mix it on up. And you want to focus on these games. No distractions or worrying about the previous game. And it's a team effort. You got to make it all-inclusive. And I think Stephon Welsh has done a good job with that with Woodside.
You see right there, Nunez covering the weak side. He's all over, all-inclusive. I like Dirk Nowitzki, huh?
I was going to say, reminds me a
or
little bit
Porzingis.
of Dirk Nowitzki, Porzingis. They're now on the same team with Luka Doncic with the Dallas Mavericks.
Congratulations to Porzingis.
Wow.
Excellent shot there, 9-2. 4:35 left in this first quarter. Denby working around very well. Outside jumper is off.
Denby's had some good looks, Greg. They just can't get anything to fall down right now.
Here come the Wolverines. And Mike Powers right there calling the foul.
Getting back to Nunez, Greg, I think that's an amazing advantage.
That's rare that his pass got blocked. That was rare. And he gets the rebound almost. And Denby uses their speed to get it away. You got to have good ball control. We talked about that. Don't get lackadaisical in the paint. Denby with it in the red uniforms. Right off of Denby Boulevard. Woodside right off Industrial Park. Off Jefferson Avenue.
And another rebound for the big fella inside, number 1, Nunez.
He looks focused. Nice shot right there by the Wolverines, Jimison.
I like what they're doing so far on offense. Like you said, Greg, in terms of the inside-out play, they've got a really big advantage on the inside with Nunez, but then you got shooters on the outside like a Coleman, like a Jimison, and they're taking advantage of it.
There he is right there, Chambly for Denby. Went to Hampton High School, St. Augustine, CIAA. Of course, Welsh went to Arkansas in the Southeastern Conference. Division I basketball at its best. Big name coach from Denby in the past, Dennis Katufis. Big name coach from Woodside in the past, John Richardson. 11-3.
Wilkins at the charity stripe, Greg. But yeah, you talk about the coaching. Obviously, we know about the greatness of Coach Katufis, but when you talk about Woodside, you can't speak about their basketball program without mentioning the heights that Coach Richardson took them to, and that's what Stephon Welsh is trying to build upon, that legacy.
And he was part of that. Him and Willie Bell. Trey Harris, excellent, great Woodside player. Stephon Welsh, Willie Bell in the past. Nice shot right there. Excellent shot by Khalif Jimison. And what you're seeing now is Woodside's doing a good job covering the weak side. They're blocking out the They're off to a good start, trying to get the crowd involved, and they're moving without the ball.
Yeah, it opened up a 10-point lead early on, Greg, and Denby really doesn't have an answer so far for what Woodside's bringing to the table.
Woodside's bringing a lot of energy here at home. Got to watch those passes.
And another one goes down for the Woodside Wolverines. 17-4 is the score, Greg Vicaveris, and a wise timeout, I think, by Coach Chamblee and the Denby Patriots.
Nice getting delivery here at Uber Eats, huh, man?
I'm telling you what, Greg.
Anyway, 17-4, and like we said, this is not like football where you can process a little bit after each play. It's such a fast court action game, you have to be proactive early.
And you mentioned the speed of the game, Greg. I think that also ties into momentum as you see Coach Chamblee trying to rally the Patriots. It's easy to get down quickly, but you don't want to stay there. So I think that's why he called the timeout, to get the guys refocused so this thing doesn't get too far ahead too quickly.
They got the band here tonight, too. You don't see bands that often. I remember one time we did a game of Wark, and the band was right behind us.
Oh, man.
My goodness. Former Wark AD. We'll get to the crew list in the fourth quarter. A lot of basketball this month for us.
Absolutely.
Girls and guys, not tonight, though. But
I'm looking forward to this month, Greg. You know, we talk all the time. Athletics, academics, activities. That's kind of the hallmark here in the Newport News school system, and it's great to be able to bring this action to you folks.
Denby's had a lot of great players in the past, like Sam Steen, Joel Bolden, Carlos Hurd.
And there's the man of the hour right there, Greg.
Stephon Welsh. Woodside and Heritage, folks, if you've never seen it before, the schools are identical. They were built around the same time. The bathrooms are modified the same way, the hallways. I like that. I like that consistency, except they're very far apart.
I was going to say, they kind of are like the outside pieces of the sandwich in terms of the schools in the Newport News.
Woodside's like in the North Pole. So Santa might be up here.
But even though they're the newest schools, Greg, they've also had the most success when you want to talk about Heritage with the state championship in football.
A lot of space. A lot of good space
with
here.
The state championship in basketball. So, yeah, very nice facilities here at Woodside.
Yep, very nice. Denby going right to left in the red uniforms, coached by Chamblee. Of course, Phoebus, one of the top teams. We'll get to the coaches in just a minute. Nice penetration. Cheerleaders there.
And that's what Denby's got to do, Greg, if they want to get some scores. They have to be proactive, use their speed, get to the lane, and get to the dish. Staff
and students working well together. For more, log on to nnpstv.com. Nice shot right there by Nunez.
Nice interior passing by the Woodside Wolverines. And again, Nunez, it's almost like having a cheat code in a video game. He's at least a head taller than anybody else.
He is focused, too. I like how the kid used the glass there. Avery Scott.
Avery Scott, number 4 for the Woodside Wolverines. Great job defensively getting in the lane, picking that ball off, and almost made it a 3-point play. So right now, everything's going Woodside's way.
Speaking of Denby, of course, they're going to be having a new football coach in the fall. And, of course, Menchville is too. And, of course, Bethel, congratulations. They got Creighton Incarmedius.
Yeah.
And I hope to goodness we get a Bethel game in the fall. We've done Bethel a lot in the past. He played for Dennis Kozlowski, who won state championships in 74, 76, and 92. It should bring a lot of credibility to Bethel.
Yeah, I think that's a great hire by Bethel, bringing in Creighton.
Yep, and Mickey as well, his brother. 21-6, all Woodside at home. Earlier this year, Woodside did beat Denby. Nice block. Underclassman Nunez, too. A little sloppy there. We'll get to all the coaches in the second quarter.
Yeah, I know it's still cold outside, Greg, but Nunez is having a block party in here tonight. That's about the second or third rejection he's had on the interior, and he's such a weapon not only offensively but on the defensive side as well.
And it's never easy at the beginning of the month. You're always vulnerable at the beginning of the month because you just got over January, you just got over some heavy testing, holidays. So February, you're starting to feel the groove. But the beginning of the month is never easy.
And that's where coaching comes in, because the coach is the one that's got to keep his team focused, keep the kids engaged, coming off of those holidays and those long layoffs.
Oh, nice shot right there by number 4, and that was Avery Scott.
Maybe an ill-advised move right there by the Patriots. Hope the young man's all right.
26-6, all Woodside tonight.
And right there, I think you can see kind of the frustration of Denby, Greg, because he had a man open on the other side. He just had to make that one extra pass, but instead he went into the lane, into the trees, took that hard foul. And so we're going to see right now, can Denby find some way to slow down the momentum? And that's the task for Coach Nick Chamblee.
There's our buddy right there, Terrence Crowley, the assistant for Denby from Baltimore. Nick Chamblee, the head coach. Welsh is the head coach for Woodside, the pink shirt, black tie. Ties are so overrated. Most ties strangle men,
So
I don't think ties to me get along that well.
What about a nice bow tie?
I used to when I was younger. I'll look at one, but I won't wear it.
I'm a fan of.
I do wear a tie to church, though, Nate.
I was going to say, some occasions you have to wear a tie, but I am not a fan.
It's in vain.
I'm not a fan of ties either.
I've literally been strangled by my own tie several times. That's pretty sad. Whoever invented ties, good night. 26-7 in favor of Woodside, in control at home. But Denby's got a lot of energy as well. But they're going to need to get some second chance shots here. Outside jumper is off.
And this is the time, Greg, for Denby to take some advantages right now. With Nunez out of the game, you want to go ahead and push it, see if you can get some easy scores in the interior.
Here come the Patriots. Number 2, Jakari Wilkins in the red. Couple seconds left in the quarter. That's it. We'll take a short break. It is Woodside 26, Denby 7. We'll be back after these messages.
Music and fine arts provide enriching experiences. They teach students that there can be more than one solution to a problem, more than one right answer, that mistakes are learning experiences, and present an opportunity to be creative and flexible. The arts encourage persistence and dedication. They require sustained concentration, personal reflection involving critical analysis, and self-adjustment to reach desired goals. These are essential 21st century skills. Skills recognized as important to productive career and citizen success. Each student deserves and benefits from an arts-rich education.
All right, back here, Woodside High School. Greg Bickaveris, Nate Milton, our entire crew. Best crew in the state of Virginia right here, folks. Nate, when you talk about the keys now for Denby, what are the keys?
I think the keys for Denby right now is they need to just take a deep breath, refocus. What's happened in the first quarter, that's behind them. They can't change that. They're down, 26-7. So they got to come out and focus. And I think that's the job of Coach Chamblee. He's got to get these kids motivated, come out here and make a statement, get some stops on defense and some easy buckets.
What about Woodside?
Woodside, keep doing what they're doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, my friend.
And Nunez is still on the bench. Like you said, they need to take advantage of that for Denby. Denby, of course, now going right to left on the TV dial. Glad you're with us. Cox Cable 47, 517, nnpstv.com. YouTube has just changed television.
Yeah, YouTube.
And YouTube's got their own TV channel.
The way that digital media is now and streaming with YouTube and Hulu, Netflix, can't forget about them. Disney's got a streaming
Facebook Live, Twitter Live. Have you ever gone live on Twitter?
I've never gone live on Twitter.
I have on Facebook.
But it's just changed the way people watch their content now, particularly when you talk about sports.
At Greg Bick.
At in the number 8 MOZAIK.
At Sports Highlight. At GJBTV. At HR Online Mall.com. At HRSMHOF.
It's just funny to think about how social media has kind of changed the way fans view sports nowadays.
Yep, at GJB Radio, at GJB TV. And, of course, here comes Woodside for a layup. Easy as cake. That is Khalif Jimison. I love his attention to detail.
Yeah, Jimison's a really smooth player. He's under control all the time, and like you said, that was a Lionel Richie play right there. That was easy like Sunday morning, my friend.
Denby keeps on countering, kind of like counter-punching a little bit. 28-9, 7:20 left of intermission. Stay tuned for our halftime show. One thing we like about basketball, we don't have to worry about the weather. We don't have to worry about the stairs. We like basketball, don't we, Nate?
Absolutely. Love basketball. The kids out here playing hard. And, again, you talk about the weather. I know so much of the country has gone through such a cold winter so far. So, shout out to everybody watching all around the globe, either on YouTube or NPSTV.com.
And that was Burnett. He is
can't catch
thin.
a break.
That kid is thin. If he bulks up, he'll be something to watch.
Well, and I think the same thing can be said about Nunez.
But basketball, you have to bulk up.
Well, yeah, we've seen players throughout the years, whether you talk about like a Sean Bradley or a Manute Bull, you have to put on some mass if you're going to be there banging down low in the paint. You don't have to be as big as Shaq, but you got to have at least a little muscle on you.
Oh, yeah. Shaq had it all. And, of course, Zion for Duke.
I'm telling you, Zion Williamson is one of those once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation kind of players.
I can't wait to see him in the NBA.
He's going to be great. And speaking of Manute, his son, Bull, out in Oregon.
Yeah, the late Manute Bull.
The late, great Manute Bull. Like his son
played for the Bullets.
Looks like his dad, but he's also a great three-point shooter. So that's a scary thing. A 7-footer that can go out and shoot threes.
6:17 left. 30-9. All Woodside tonight. One and done. You got to move on. 12-month season. Show up. Accountability. Focus on the task at hand. Like you see Welsh's right there. Momentum. Good first half and good second half.
Absolutely. I got to give a shout-out. You mentioned them earlier, Greg. Shout-out to the Woodside drumline from the band. They are providing the fans with a lot of excitement and enthusiasm here tonight. And don't forget, folks, when you talk about this, they have to keep in mind their goals. And their goals are making the postseason. So they've been working since October for this moment. And if a bad thing happens, forget it quickly and move on. Life, much like basketball, is a marathon, not a sprint. And, again, we talk about the fans being in the game. They are in the game, but a nice move by Denby.
If you have a bad night, just move on. That's all you can do.
In the wise words of Taylor Swift, sometimes you just got to shake it off, Greg.
Exactly. That's true for a lot of us. Thanks to our great crew in the truck as well. Outside jumper, it's up, and it's no good. Nice rebound by number 5 for Denby. That was Anthony Johnson. Outside jumper is good.
Wow.
By Justice Thomas for Denby.
And that's how you work yourself back into the game, Greg. You're not going to recover this entire deficit with one shot, but the way you get back in it is by making shots, and then on the other end, you get defensive stops.
And Welsh knows he's on TV tonight, and he's even though he's up by 16, he ain't happy.
No, he's not.
Because he knows that the Phoebuses of the world are going to be, tougher. You see Denby's got an injury right there.
Yeah, I believe that's number 2 Wilkins down there.
We'll acknowledge the head coaches for Denby, of course, Chambly, Heritage, Radford. We had them on Sports Highlights. Menchville, Struthers, Warwick, Stagg, Woodside, Welsh, Gloucester, Gardner, Bethel, Brehan, Hampton, of course, Phoebus, Daniel, and Kickitan, Gauls.
And I've been really impressed by what Menchville's been doing with Coach Struthers this year. They've really impressed me.
Brower and Brown over the years, great coaches in Hampton. Nunez, half hook there, misses. He's got such poise for an underclassman.
And that's the thing, Greg. He's going to get better. I think we see right now he's got the raw skills, the raw abilities, but he's going to get better with his post moves. He's going to get better defensively, and he's probably going to grow a couple more inches and fill out that frame.
He reminds me a lot of Jay Billis, who went to Duke.
I'm telling you, Billis was quite a player back in his day. And
Mark Allery, remember him?
Excellent player as well.
Not quite Christian Laettner yet.
No. Well, you got to think, a lot of people hated on Christian Laettner back in the day, but he's one of the greatest college players we've ever seen.
Absolutely.
And a winner. And I think that's what separates him from a lot of the other kids.
Denby's got the ball in the red. And they're down by 17. Now it's 15.
Nice. Justice Thomas trying to bring Denby back on the strength of his back right there, Greg. Nice move, avoiding Nunez in the post, and was able to go up and in with the shot.
Woodside made the postseason last year. They want to get back there again, as does Denby. Not easy, though.
Justice Smith.
The one thing about basketball, it's front and center. There's no helmets out here. You can see it a lot more clear than football.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's easier to relate for the fans. Wow, nice move right there by the Denby Patriots.
And they're trying to get a comeback.
It's number 1, Raekwon. The kids call him the chef. That was a very strong move to go one-on-one with Nunez. He took the contact and was able to finish the shot.
31-18. Greg Bickadaris, Nate Milton, at Greg Bick on Twitter.
At the 8 MOZAIK on Twitter.
Here come the Wolverines. You can see who's in control here. Got to get across the timeline first. Woodside working the ball around very well. Again, hope you enjoyed our wrestling that we did in January.
Great ball movement by the Wolverines.
Denby being proactive and hustling. Oh, nice shot.
Wow.
You know, one thing, you got a big lead, then you have a tendency to slack off a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what Coach Welch was telling his players during that last timeout. But Justice Smith is single-handedly bringing the Denby Patriots back. I've been very impressed with the young man in this quarter.
And that's what turnovers happen, too. Denby's keeping their poise.
Well, it's like you said, Greg, when you got a big lead, it's easy to kind of slow down, but then you start to hear those footsteps behind you. And that's what Coach Chamblee and the Denby Patriots want the Woodside Wolverines to be doing now, hearing those footsteps.
I tell you one thing, I want to give a lot of props to both these schools on excellent uniforms. These are some of the better basketball uniforms I've seen in Newport News. Excellent, excellent attire these kids are wearing. Really proud of them. Wow. And nice shot right there by number 1. He must have heard me. Is Britt.
Raekwon Britt.
Don't you agree with the uniforms?
They're very simple. They're not overly complicated. They're very simple, very clean looking, classic looking, if you will. I really
kind of like our hair, right, Nate?
Yes. Not too complicated, not too busy. But Denby doing a lot of great things here in this second quarter, Greg. Drawing within 10 points, almost within 10 points on that next possession of the Woodside Wolverines.
8 points, 31-23. Outside jumper, it's good. Woodside needed that by Brevard.
Clutch shot by Brevard, stopping the run for this moment from the Patriots.
3 minutes till halftime. Outside jumper is off. But you're seeing Denby's fighting for the boards. That's the biggest difference.
Yeah, Denby's fighting for the boards, but also a big difference between now and the first quarter, Greg. Woodside's not hitting their shots. They had a couple open jumpers in this period, and they haven't been able to knock them down as consistently.
Woodside's gotten double-digit wins this year. Denby is not. Of course, top college teams, of course, Virginia and Duke, NBA, Golden State, Toronto. Wizards are struggling. And they're probably going to continue to struggle without Wall.
Yeah, and it's always tough in the NBA. You know, everybody's trying to find a way to maneuver and get the right team on the court, and John Wall is one of the most important players, particularly when you talk about a Wizards team that is trying to find their identity.
And Wizard players always say we're getting fed more now. But it's hard for Beal and Wall, two type A's, And that's the reason they haven't evolved.
Yeah.
They're both great players, but maybe not together.
Yeah, they really have never found a way to mix. You know, it's kind of like, it's not necessarily oil and water, but it's certainly not peanut butter and jelly. Like, they're not a great combo together.
I think that's a great point. I think it is oil and water.
I would really like to see John Wall somewhere, you know, not that I want to see him leave the Wizards, but I'd love to see him paired with somebody in the backcourt that's maybe a little bit more physical, a defensive two-guard.
Here's Ely making it. Very nice. 13-point lead now for the Wolverines. Denby driving. Big possession here, folks. Stay tuned for our halftime show.
These last 2 minutes of the quarter are going to be crucial, Greg Bigoveris, because Denby's done a lot of good things so far, but if they allow Woodside to go on a little mini run here, then it's all for naught.
Especially if Woodside can, you know, extend that lead here going to halftime.
Wow.
Nice give and go there by number 3.
Justice Thomas coming alive here in the
He's the justice of the house.
Justice Thomas living his best life out here, folks.
He's running down the aisles, folks. Not easy either. Ooh, inside play there by number 5. And that, of course, was Ely, one of the upperclassmen on the team.
And we've seen a couple different combinations tonight for Woodside by Coach Welsh. You know, he's had Nunez in, had Nunez out. We've seen Coleman in, just a lot of different combinations for the Wolverines tonight, trying to find that perfect fit to go up against this Denby team.
Woodside up by 13, trying to make it 14, and they do. We're at Woodside High School at Newport News. Former superintendent Dr. Kilgore was a principal here once. Only 2 football coaches in 23 years. And the shot is up and it's good. Big time shot by Thomas.
Justice bringing order to the court. Justice Thomas, the hottest player on the court right now. He can't miss.
He's a justice on the court. Nice give and go. 3 officials tonight. A lot of injuries could happen. You got to be careful. And sometimes the floor gets really slippery too.
Yeah, and you know that's where the conditioning comes in. You know, where you're doing your stretches. You want to make sure you're loose, you're limber. Here, as we see a Raekwon at the charity stripe.
Remember our halftime show. We got 59 seconds left. Great feature coming up during intermission. Nice shot there by number 1, Britt. There's a great player at Bethel named John Terrell Britt, who played for Coach Kaz in the 80s. Really excited about Creighton Intermediate's coaching Bethel in the fall. Here come the Wolverines up by 10. They want to extend it. Remember, no shot clock in high school basketball. Let's go right to the table. And Nate Milton gets the ball.
No, I got handles, Greg. I got handles.
Nate, were you ready to shoot there?
I mean, I think I got range from this far out. You know, I'm kind of like Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah.
From BYU. As soon as I step on the court, I got range.
Come the Wolverines in control, up by 10. No reason to rush. And they penetrate. Stephon Welch clapping there.
Just an ill-timed foul right there by the Patriots. But I got to say, Greg, so far in this second quarter, we've seen the energy level for Denby raise up. And they're certainly giving Woodside a run for their money. They brought it as close to within 8 points. Now the lead is back up to 10. But Denby's got a lot to be proud of here in the second quarter.
Takes a total team effort. And you see Woodside's rotating a lot of players off the bench. Neither team's got a lot of big roster. Nice crowd filing in hand tonight. You want to see more support from both the students and the adults, of course.
Yeah, very strong crowd, particularly on the Woodside side. And, you talk about having the drum line from the band here. That's what it's all about, the community coming out and celebrating and appreciating these kids.
20 seconds left till halftime. Denby in the red. Outside jumper is up, and it's off. Nice rebound by the Patriots. They still have the ball, but they travel.
It was a good rebound by Justice Thomas. Unfortunately, didn't pick up his dribble.
Again, Woodside likes that UVA offense. Full court, matchup zone defense, strength to speed. Weakness is the youth. Final few seconds. Woodside's got the ball. They better shoot it soon. And they do. And it's off. So, we're at halftime with the score. It is Woodside 40, Denby 29. Stay tuned.
Aviation Academy offers a variety of hands-on experiences. Chooses select students to create a great small community. Is located at an airport for applied learning. And is career-oriented for students who are going to pursue aviation in their future. For more information, please contact the Aviation Academy at 757-886-2745.
All right, right now, let's take a look at wrestling from Woodside. Our Jason Hoyle interviewed Ayanna Hicks, who is a wrestler at Woodside, on The Focus Show. Enjoy it, folks.
Hello, and welcome to The Focus Show. I'm your host, Jason Hoyle. And here today I'm with Ayanna Hicks and her father, Leon Hicks. Ayanna is a freshman at Woodside High School who's on the wrestling team. So, how long have you been wrestling?
For like 8 months.
And when did you decide to seriously do wrestling?
When I was small and I saw other people wrestle, I thought it was pretty cool.
And was she ever introduced to other sports besides wrestling?
Yes, she was introduced to volleyball, soccer, and a little bit of basketball. She found she didn't have enough coordination to do all that, but she kept her head up and tried anyway.
Right. And can you tell us about the increase in popularity of women's wrestling?
Well, the increase is due to the dedication of the coaches to basically open the door to not just the boys, but also to the ladies. And the coach over at Woodside High School, John Wright, has opened his doors open. It's like a floodgate. Woodside High School has the largest female presence on their wrestling team.
And what did you do to prepare for wrestling, Ayanna?
I just jumped straight into it.
And did you do anything to help prepare her for any of her wrestling matches?
Well, back when she was a lot younger and a lot smaller, I used to take my bicycle and put her on the handlebars and ride up to Heritage High School. And basically she would watch me do certain types of maneuvers when I was able to do it. And it was like a light switch. It turned on inside of her. And ever since then it's become a passion. And that's mainly what, most kids nowadays are looking for, is the passion to do something. And she found it and she's sticking with it.
And what physical and mental skills should you have to wrestle?
Well, I think you got to go out there with a I can win it attitude, like believe in yourself and don't doubt yourself and stuff.
And do you have any favorite wrestlers that inspire you?
I would say my dad.
Why so?
Because, as he said, when I was little, he took me up there to watch him. And it was like it was like pretty cool. Like, he was showing them moves that I never seen in like real life before. So I'm looking like, oh, this must be cool and stuff.
Well, thank you so much. We have to cut the commercial break, but we shall see you when you return.
Hello? See you, okay? Yes, okay. Yeah, I'm going to check on her. Wait, Addison! 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 Where'd you go? Oh my god.
Strategies to avoid abduction. Never leave kids alone. Set boundaries and curfews. And talk about stranger danger.
Welcome back to The Focus Show. I'm your host, Jason Hoyle, here with Ayanna Hicks and Leon Hicks. What advice do you have for kids, especially young girls who want to wrestle at your level?
I'll say just do it to do it. Get out there, believe in yourself, follow your dreams.
I'd like to ask, out of anything, you could have done any other sport, and you chose to do wrestling. Why didn't you do, basketball or soccer or any of those other sports?
I wasn't feeling it when I was trying out for all those other sports. But once I stepped into the wrestling room, I was like saying, oh yeah, I'm going to stick with this.
And what is the hardest thing about wrestling?
The conditioning and the weight loss if need to be.
And who is your biggest rival, and how did you prepare for that duel?
I would say my biggest rival was the number one in stake for my weight class was Taija. And how I prepared for it, I went to all my wrestling practices and I put out the time and the work, asked questions if need to be.
How many hours of practice do you put in for wrestling?
Well, in the high school season, we run straight from Monday to Saturday for like 4 hours. And then now off season, we do Tuesdays and Thursdays, which is also 4 hours.
And what's your favorite move?
I would say my favorite move is the slam, when you slam people.
And what's the fastest you have ever pinned someone?
In 15 seconds.
Wow. Well, would you like to give an explanation of the medals we have here today?
Yes, sir. This one right here is one of my first place medal. I would say I won this at, I forgot the tournament's name, but I remember it was against one girl and I beat her. This one is from Skyline High School. I got second place when I went up against the number one person. This one right here is also first place. I got that at Peninsula Punishers at Woodside High School. This one right here is also first place. I got that from Cold Pepper. The one next to it is War of the Roses. I went to Orange County to wrestle there against number one. And I got second place. This one is my very first medal. That's third place, and I got it from Cox High School.
That's fantastic. And Leon Hicks, we would like to ask, is there anything you would like to say before we finish the show today?
Yes, along with the ladies here that you see behind me, they don't only just wrestle girls, they wrestle boys. And every single one of them has great dedication, coming to practice, being on time, putting in the work where need be, and they also do a lot of drilling. So my advice to anyone out there, not just for girls wrestling, if you see something that you're interested in, don't just sit on the sidelines thinking that I can't. You got to think positive when it comes to anything that you do. But when you do it, give it 110%. And if you can give a little bit more, give a little bit more. Because that's what it takes to be successful in anything that you do in life.
Thank you so much, Ayanna Hicks and Leon Hicks, for being here today with us.
My pleasure.
Well, this has been a segment for The Focus Show. I'm your host, Jason Hoyle. We'll catch you guys next time.
I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Serving the community can have a big impact on society. Everyone loves when someone takes time out of their day to spend time, either just hanging out or helping out. There are many different people to serve, from kids to the elderly, the homeless to your next door neighbor. And the best part about serving is that it spreads. So take time to serve someone else, to serve your community, and to do your part.
All right, back here at Woodside High School in Newport News. Greg Bicaderas, Nate Milton, glad you're with us. And it is February, which is Black History Month, and I think you and I are a perfect example of what Dr. King was talking about, and Ray Price as well.
Absolutely, and it's things aren't perfect in the world that we live in today, Greg, but things are certainly better. There's been progress.
But you and I have got chemistry and harmony that is what Dr. King wanted to see in everybody.
Yeah, well,
and you can't put a price tag on that.
It's about coming together, and we see it here on the basketball court. Doesn't matter what your race is, what your creed is, ethnicity, religion. We can all work together, and that's a lesson we can learn from people like Dr. King.
All inclusive. Two best words. All right, Woodside now going right to left, and they're up by 13. But Denby made a run in the second quarter.
Yeah, Denby had a 22-14 run in the second quarter,
and that'll stymie that. As Coleman connects from the outside for the Wolverines. Woodside at home, always tough for Denby to win on the road.
Right, and I think they've got to come out with some intensity. They've got to start trapping like they did in the second quarter and really play with some urgency to, cut into this lead for the Woodside Wolverines.
See, that's what Denby doesn't want. Denby to get in, lackadaisical there. Woodside all about spurts. Get to our crew list in the fourth quarter. At Greg Bick on Twitter.
At @8 MOZAIK, at Nate Mosaic on Twitter. Woo.
Woodside is hot.
Coleman coming out of the halftime break with some urgency and some enthusiasm, and he's really pacing the Wolverines right now.
As a couple songs say, let's go. High school basketball at nnpstv.com. You can tweet it. Watch it on YouTube, however you like. Set it up the way you want to.
Yeah. And that was a nice floater right there by the Denby Patriots.
And a nice jumper there by Coleman. Ooh. Little physical there. Good boards by Nunez. And they're bumping and jumping like, what's that, roller derby? Remember roller derby back in the day?
Yep.
Oh, I love that sport. I remember as a kid, we used to watch female roller derby. And they used to, knock into each other.
Yep.
Whatever happened to that?
I don't know, Greg.
I loved roller derby. That reminded me of a roller derby movie.
The fabulous T-Birds.
Yeah. You can see that on YouTube still.
Yep. But, yeah, that last sequence was just back and forth, up and down. Denby finally was able to capitalize, and now we have Raekwon Britt at the free throw line.
And Britt about to shoot. 51-34, though. Woodside up by 17 at home. Going to right to left. Woodside in the white uniforms. Denby in the red. Greg Bicaderas, Nate Milton, glad you're with us for our showcase game tonight between these two city rivalries. Denby looking for a football coach in the fall to replace Newport News City Councilman Marcellus B2 Harris, who went to Ferguson. And Denby connects. Football is such a grind, though, compared to basketball. You're indoors, a lot more controllable. You're not worried about the weather. You get a little bit more wins in basketball for the most part.
Is absolutely want to send a tip of the cap to B2 Harris, friend of the program. And again, Didn't win a championship at Denby, but I do think that, he instilled a lot of confidence and life lessons in those young men.
He brought consistency. He did make the postseason, though. But it was, tough for him. But all the best to him and his political career.
I would say he's definitely got a bright future ahead of him when it comes to politics and influencing the community.
Stephon Welsh calling timeouts early. 5:06 left in the third quarter. And the Wolverines are up by 12.
It's been pretty even here in the third quarter. 11 points scored by the Wolverines, 10 points scored by the Patriots, and Stephon Welch is getting these guys enthusiastic.
In the pink. And then Denby, of course, coached by Nick Chambly.
Speaking of champions real quick, Greg, we talked about Woodside having that championship in basketball. I want to give a shout out. We saw at halftime Ayanna Hicks. She was a state champion for the Woodside girls wrestling team. And we're talking. It's a shame that there's not more participation with the girls wrestling. But Ayanna Hicks certainly somebody that deserves praise for what she's accomplished out there.
Yeah, we interviewed for Sports Highlights. You'll see it in the future months here about Menchville's wrestling program. We talked about high school and college wrestling, but we talked about pro wrestling, and it's really they tried to. You see us on YouTube right there, YouTube Telecom Network. The only pro wrestling is really the WWE. And how's TNA doing?
TNA is not doing well, but I mean WWE is the be all and end all when it comes to wrestling. But there's something out there for everybody, whether it's UFC or WWE. We want to again send a shout out to the late great Mean Gene Okerlund, who passed away earlier in the year.
A few years ago, Blackjack Mulligan.
Yep.
And you can see a lot of those great wrestling matches, folks, on YouTube.
Yep. And like we were talking about in the first half, that
was a great feature about wrestling at halftime.
I really enjoyed that, seeing Ayanna Hicks and her dad Leon, who is running the concessions here at Woodside High.
Denby trying to cut the lead, trying to cut the gap on the road. Tough to win on the road. Woodside beat Denby earlier this year. Everybody trying to chase Phoebus.
Wow.
And here's another chase. Woo! And a nice dunk by Raekwon Britt.
Nice job with the steal and the slam. That's going to get the Denby Patriots enthused, Greg. That's the kind of plays we need to see if you're a Denby Patriots fan. Britt almost got away with another steal right there. Very active on the defensive side. Here we see the steal by Raekwon Britt. He's got a clear lane ahead of him. Look out, folks. He's living his best life. He ain't going back and forth with you Wolverines. Nice job by the young man, Raekwon Britt.
Here comes Denby in the red, left to right. Nice replay there. And the give and go is off.
Right there, Greg, you see what a disruptive...
But you got to make those second chance points.
Well, we saw what a disruptive force Nunez is, because he can just get in the lane with that big frame and alter the shots.
It's like Woodside's driving the new car, Denby's driving the used car, but they're trying to get a trade-in for a new car.
I was going to say, they might be driving the used car, but Raekwon Britt has his floor to the gas right there, pedal to the metal. Nice job by the Denby Patriots trying to cut into this lead.
Great fight and desire by both teams. Great sportsmanship by both teams. Great desire by both teams. That's a credit to their fine coaches.
At one point, Greg, Denby was down 26-7 in this game, and they have clawed back to make this a very competitive game here in the second half. So Woodside has got their work cut out for them. You see Nick Chambly. He's got to be proud with the effort being shown right now by the Denby Patriots.
And, of course, Woodside and Stephon Welsh, he was coached by Stan Heath and John Pelfrey at Arkansas in the Southeastern Conference. I mean, you're talking about he went up against Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia. I mean, these are elite teams that he played against. People talk about Iverson playing for Georgetown for 2 years. He played at Arkansas, and the Southeastern Conference was just as good as any conference.
Stephon Welch, certainly one of the more accomplished basketball players to come out of Newport News. And again, that gives him a lot of credibility when he's talking to these young men.
I mean, you think about who Kentucky had. Boogie Cousins, John Wall, Anthony Davis. I mean, those are the type of players that Arkansas would face against Kentucky.
Yep. And Stephon Welch.
And Anthony Davis, do you think he'll go to the Lakers?
That's going to be interesting, Greg. I think if you have LeBron and Anthony Davis, that's a really tough team.
They can beat Golden State.
And I think he wants to go to the Lakers, but I don't know if New Orleans is going to pull the trigger on that trade.
In my opinion, he's the second best player in the NBA besides Bron, though. He's got the best upside.
Yeah.
And then the Greek Freak is probably 3.
You put those two together on the court, though, Greg, that's a nightmare matchup.
The Bucks are playing excellent basketball. Best since Kareem played for Milwaukee. If you didn't see Kareem play for Milwaukee, folks, look him up on YouTube.
Yeah, I really like the Bucks. You talk about Giannis and what he brings to the table, but also the young man from Virginia who, brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm and was Rookie of the Year, I believe. Brogdon, yeah.
Here comes Woodside in the white uniforms. Working the ball around very well. Outside jumper. Off. Back at it again is the Wolverines with 2:26 left in the third quarter. Ball control. And the shot is good. Or as the barbecue pit boys would say, it's good.
That was a delicious jumper right there by the Woodside Wolverines. Kind of steadying the ship right now, trying to beat back the challenge of the Denby Patriots.
2:08. Woodside wants to keep that 10-point margin plus and put the pressure on Denby on the road.
Yeah, and it seems, Greg, like every time Denby's able to make a little bit of a run, Woodside just hits 1 or 2 shots and brings that lead back to 10 points.
Yeah, because Denby's only going to have 8 minutes left to do it in the fourth quarter. That's not much. 8 minutes is nothing.
Especially when you talk about not having that shot clock.
And you got to get that second chance shot like that, but you got to make it. It's almost like a volleyball underneath the net. Here come the Wolverines. Ice chill, yes!
Wow.
The ice chill for 0. Khalif Jemison shooting the ice chill.
Khalif Jemison got the hoop and the harm, folks, right there. Excellent concentration by the young man. Took a hard shot, but was able to knock that jumper down from far away. Excellent play right there by Jemison.
World be free.
Man. Takes a lot of concentration to be able to do that, Greg, when you know you're going to fall and take
and he got fouled, Nate.
Heavy contact. So the 4-point play here he's trying for.
We get to the crew list in the fourth quarter. .140 left here in the third quarter. Greg Picaveras, Nate Milton. We're at Woodside High School in Newport News. Glad you're with us. Woodside's won state championships in basketball under John Richardson. Of course, their women's basketball coach is Mike Talon. .59-46. Denby at the free throw line. And that is Britt.
Raekwon Britt, the kids call him the chef. One of the leaders here for this Denby Patriot team. Trying to bring this team back. Hits the second attempt. 59-47, the home team, Woodside Wolverines, with the lead over the Patriots.
Denby in the red. Of course, you can't mention Arkansas without mentioning the great Nolan Richardson Jr., who coached Arkansas. His kids were Nolan, Yvonne, Madeline, and much more.
Yeah, you think about those teams with Nolan Richardson. What you talk about, Corliss Williamson, Scotty Thurman, just some of those big time names he had on that team back in the day.
Yeah, I'd be remiss not to mention, Charles Barkley played for Auburn, another Southeastern Conference school that was a rival of Arkansas.
Yeah, I know.
And Alabama.
Nowadays, a lot of people, associate the SEC with football. But back in the day, there was some really strong basketball players. There's some good players now, and Stephon Welch is part of that lineage of SEC basketball.
And how about at Memphis? Got some NBA coaches coaching Memphis, and the college coaches can't deal with it.
Penny Hardaway, the new coach at his alma mater.
Yeah, and Rick Barnes from Tennessee is like, wait a second. First of all, the NBA is bigger than college basketball, Rick Barnes. I tell you, a coach I really like is Casey for Detroit. He got the shaft at Toronto. He's an excellent coach.
Yeah, he won the Coach of the Year and lost his job.
Yeah, it made no sense. Because this year he had a chance to win the NBA championship. I still think Toronto still has a chance. With Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah, anytime you bring Kawhi Leonard onto a team, that's going to be a contender. But, yeah, Dwayne Casey, to me, was a great coach.
Excellent coach.
In Toronto.
Amazing the attitude of Leonard this year to last year. He didn't I don't care what you say, he did not like playing for San Antonio last year. Because he's a lot happier this year.
Now, I think it's something, he had to be the focus because Tim Duncan wasn't there anymore. Ginobili was getting older. Tony Parker was traded.
Wow. Outside jumper by Brevard. 12-point lead for the Wolverines. Yeah, Noel Richardson was a great coach at Arkansas. Of course, Joe B. Hall was at Kentucky back in the day. Don DeVoe at Tennessee. Hugh Durham at Georgia. I mean, the SEC's had some great coaches. We tend to think of the ACC around here, but the SEC's had really good college basketball coaches.
I mean, you could make the argument, obviously we're talking about the women and not the men here, but Pat Summitt, arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time.
The late Pat Summitt.
The late, great Pat Summitt.
And, of course, she has the court named after her.
Yep. That great rivalry she used to have with Gina Auriemma up in Connecticut. It was always fun seeing those two teams play.
And congratulations to Lefty Driesell, who made the Hall of Fame. We had him on Sports Highlights years ago, the former Davidson, Maryland, James Madison, and Georgia State coach. Here come the Wolverines in control. Greg Bickavaris, Nate Milton. We're at Woodside High School in Newport News. Here come the Wolverines in the lane, and they connect. Wow. That was icing on the cake.
Everything going the way for the Wolverines right now, Greg.
That's Brevard. He's all smiles.
Yeah, Brevard showing a lot of bravado, if you will.
And the Greek word bravo for good.
Bravo, young man.
Traveling. Denby getting a little sloppy here toward the end of the third quarter.
It seems like every time Denby gets close, Greg, Woodside does just enough to extend that lead.
Here come the Wolverines. They got to be mindful of the clock. And they do. Denby's final shot is off. So, with the end of the third quarter in play, it is Woodside 66, Denby 51. Stay tuned.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a scientist. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer.
Our younger students have the right idea. Today's leading careers are involved in science, technology, engineering, and math. Newport News Public Schools has embarked on an aggressive STEM education initiative that prepares students to take full advantage of STEM opportunities in higher education and career fields. So, what do you want to be when you grow up?
All right, back in Newport News, Virginia. Greg Bickavaris along with Nate Milton. We're at Woodside High School in Newport News. It is Woodside at home, up by 66 to 51. Nate Milton. Denby's been scrapping, but it's not been enough.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of energy from Denby starting in that second quarter, and it's continued here in the second half. The problem is every time they get the lead close, they're down by 8 or they're down by 6, Woodside goes on a little mini run and puts it back up to a 10-point lead. So that's the question right now for Coach Nick Chamblee and the Patriots. They got to find some way to get some key stops here and really turn the tide in this basketball game.
Throwing the ball inbounds for Denby is Michael Claiborne. There's Jakari Wilkins. Outside jumper is off. That was an untimely shot there.
Yeah, way early. Should have taken some time to pass the ball around, get some ball movement going.
Also out there is Ward for Denby. Already a stoppage of play with 11 seconds going into the fourth quarter.
A lot of strategy going on right now by Coach Chamblee, going up against Coach Welsh.
A little bit of a chess match.
There you see the Wolverines huddle.
Chamblee went to Hampton High School. Welsh, of course, went to Woodside, his alma mater. We're at Woodside High School in Newport News. Greg Bickaveris, Nate Milton, glad you're with us. We'll get to the adult crew here in just a moment. See the cheerleaders enjoying themselves. Give and go is good. All Woodside. And another outside jumper off by Wilkins. One thing about basketball, you're not an island. And a nice layup right there by Britt.
You're right, Greg. You're not an island. It's about team play, and we saw some great team defense by Denby right there, resulting in a stop and then the score by Raekwon Britt.
All right, I want to thank our executive producer all year long for our sports and our shows, Michelle Price, our producer extraordinaire, Ray Price, producer of Sports Highlights as well, school board meetings, Fusion Fitness, our director, Bill Barlow. We can hear him from Chicago. Our director since 1993, Ray Price, been with us since 1992. Our engineer, Greg Lesko. And, of course, Carl Daniels, CD, in the house.
Excellent job by our adult crew. And another score by Raekwon Britt and Denby Patriots.
And just like that, Carl Daniels comes to the rescue. Nate Milton, take it away.
All right. Our student crew here bringing the game to you. We got Ryan Mullen, Michael McClellan, Derek Miracle, Josh Falsagon, Joshua Stuck, a.k.a. Lil Eli, Brandon Hedgepeth, Ian Tyson Odette, the X-Man, Xavier Bates, the other X-Man, Xavier Davis, Trayon Mobley, Colin Biggest Smalls, and, of course, the world-renowned Antonio Dix. Got to show love to the student crew for their hard work tonight, bringing this exciting ball game.
Ray Price been with us since 92. Part of Sports Highlights since 93. Of course, we had great alumni like Paul Cummings in the past. Greg Swan. Dan Dooley. Always great to do some basketball.
I'm telling you, that combination between the staff, with Mr. Price, Mr. Barlow, and Carl, and the student crew is a great mixture. And, folks, these kids are 11th and 12th graders, and they're bringing you a game right here. Look here, folks. If you're interested in TV production, call Telecom for more information or to schedule a tour to all the rising 11th graders out there. 757-591-4687. Again, 757-591-4687, extension 0. A great job by the student crew here tonight.
Still anybody's ball game, but, Woodside's maintaining it. This is our house.
Yeah, they come out here and they've played hard. Denby has given them a good fight, though. Denby has been proactive. They've been pushing the tempo, been getting in the trapping lanes and things like that. But Woodside has found a way just to stay a little bit ahead of Denby at every turn.
Look, folks, you can go out to dinner, you can go to movies. This is good entertainment. Come out and support these high school kids.
Absolutely. You got to come out here and support high school sports, basketball, football, wrestling, track and field, athletics, academics, and activities. That's what it's all about here in Newport News, folks.
All right, final under 6 minutes left. 8-minute quarters. And there's the play right there. Woodside wanted. Matt Nunez.
You said no man is an island, Greg, but Nunez might be a peninsula, at least a plateau or something, because he had an open lane right there, and the big fella just put it down.
He might be the peninsula and the south side. Oh, nice layup. The play of the game by Raekwon Britt.
Raekwon Britt has done a lot of scoring here in the second half for the Denby Patriots. If they do lose tonight, Greg, it's not going to be because of Britt.
Denby's had some great coaches over the years, like Phil Forbes and Dennis Katufis. Of course, Woodside, John Richardson. Katufis, of course, coached Denby, Heritage, and Menchville. And he was an assistant at Warwick at one time.
He's Mr. Newport News, Coach K. You got to love him.
Back then, they were events. When Menchville played Ferguson or Warwick, it was an event. When Hagan and Pope played for Menchville, or when Solomon played for Warwick, or Lonnie Miller played for Ferguson.
And again,
or Sam Steen and Carlos Hurd for Denby.
Yep. Again, speaking about Menchville, Greg, you got to give a tip of the cap to Coach Struthers for the season those guys are having. He was in the unenviable position of taking over for the late, great Ben Moore.
And you can't win no matter what you do there. Because nobody can compare it to Ben Moore. Now, there's Nunez. We'd like to see the court named after Jim Harvey and Ben Moore. You can do two, one side, one on the other.
Definitely both men legends on and off the court.
Because Moore replaced Harvey.
Yep.
Harvey was first, then Ben Moore.
Just two great men, two great legends here in the game of basketball in Newport News.
I mean, Warwick and Elton Brown, Anthony Solomon both played for Virginia.
Yep.
Now, it's a shame that more of the players played back then in Division I than now. That's the only difference in today's game. You saw more Division I players. Stephon Welsh was part of that.
Yep, Stephon Welsh certainly part of that. You talk about
you got the kid from HU though, Morrow.
But I've been really impressed though with the way Stephon Welsh has kind of come back, and it's all about academics, athletics, activities. He scores 74-62. The Wolverines up top, but you talk about who could have the potential to be a top Division I type of player, and I look at a kid like Nunez. But it's about how you develop them. It's about training. It's about getting them in the gym. It's about putting on weight and knowing how to refine your game offensively and defensively. So we could be seeing some of the next kids to go to that next level, Greg. It's just a matter of will they be willing to put the time and effort in to get there.
And Merrow, of course, plays for HU, had Peninsula roots. 3:55 left. Another outside jumper. I mean, he shooting like Chris Paul, but not making it.
Man.
Kind of reminds me of Chris Paul a little bit.
A little bit. The thing, though, Greg, is it's not only that they're missing shots, it's the time is ticking off the clock, and that is not their friend right now.
This isn't football, folks. Basketball does not last long. It's only 3:49 left in the game. Best thing about basketball, it's indoors.
Especially this time of year.
So the Super Bowl was in Atlanta recently. That's indoors.
Yep.
You got to have it indoors. One year they played, where the Giants played at. That's just that's not fair to anybody, the fans or anything. It's got to be in warm weather where it's neutral. You work hard to get there.
Yep.
You have to reward the players with either a dome or warm weather.
Yep. Especially with the unseasonably cold weather we've been having.
Goodness.
Oh, wow.
Outside jumper by Wilkins.
I mean, it's cold outside, but
playing like
Wilkins
Dominique.
is heating up. Dominique, Gerald, his younger brother.
One thing about basketball, they put the phones down. It's just transparency at its best.
And you got to love it. And it's constant motion. It's constant moving, teamwork.
Moving without the ball. Another outside jumper. He's got the green light. I mean, this kid is shooting from way beyond the ice chill mark.
I was going to say, he's about a good 3 or 4 steps behind the three-point line.
And look, even Chambly caught onto that too, so that's a little too far.
Maybe we'll go from a green light to a yellow light.
Yeah,
now.
he's got the yellow light now. Outside jumper is off. Yeah, that was one of the furthest shots I've seen. That was like a few yards away from half court.
I mean, I'm a fan of John Legend green light as much as you are, Greg, but that shot was ready to go right now, and I don't think Coach Chambly is going to give him that green light anymore.
Wilkins does like to shoot. Look where he's at now. He's ready to shoot again. Nice layup, but it's off. You got to connect that. A miss there by Britt.
Under 3 minutes, Greg, though. So as much as I like the enthusiasm and the assertiveness by Britt going in, you got to conserve this time now. So, you need to get quick, efficient shots, and we're just not seeing that from Denby.
The game has been so far elapsed time of 1 hour and 19 minutes. That's including intermission.
Yeah, unlike football games where, you have the extended halftime and the game is just a longer game, with basketball, things happen very quickly.
It's a quick ebb and flow for sure. And the season's almost over. For high school basketball, there is no March Madness. Except unless you go to the regionals in the state.
And that's what these teams want to aspire to, but it starts in February, like you were saying, Greg. It starts in February. It starts in January. It's about getting
it's a 12-month season now.
Yep.
You got AAU, Summer League, basketball.
It's about being conditioned, coming out here, and being enthusiastic. Exciting game here at Woodside High School. And again, we like to talk about these young men and women out here, highlight their enthusiasm. We had the chance again at halftime, Greg. We saw that great piece about Ayanna Hicks, state champion wrestler here from Woodside High School. So, you want to highlight these kids and promote these kids when they're doing good things, academically and athletically.
Yeah, because it does take a village to do it. You can't do it by yourself. And, of course, her dad's out here tonight.
Leon Hicks, known this man for a long time, doing great things, helping out here with the kids, and man runs the best concession stand in the game right now.
Yeah, we like hot dogs too, okay? We like it all. All right, sports highlights right there on nnpstv.com. Weekends at 9 a.m., Mondays 7, 2, and 7. Produced by the one and only Ray Price. Great interview show we've been doing for years. Nate, go ahead and introduce our guest.
And again, like you're saying, Greg, we got Leon Hicks, former wrestler for the Minchfield Monarchs. Now he's here at Woodside. We saw his daughter at halftime, Ayanna Hicks, who state champion here at Woodside. Now, like I said, Leon runs the tightest concession stand in the game right now. What are you seeing so far tonight, my friend?
I want to thank everybody for supporting the Woodside High School Athletic Boosters Club in the concession stand. And unfortunately, during the season, Ayanna suffered a concussion, so her wrestling season is over. Right now, we're trying to work on getting her cleared so we can get her back to freestyle at least, so we can get her back to the 200-pound weight class and get her back on the mat.
Absolutely. And real quick, how important is it that, the parents and the community come out here and support these kids in these athletics?
Well, it's very important. I like to quote one of our coaches, Coach Mix. He said, it's very important that the kids appreciate the parents that do come out to support them, because there's a lot of kids out there, like myself when I wrestled, that didn't have the family support to come and support the kids and cheer them on. So it's always very important to have a good fan base, whether it's your immediate family or just somebody that you know in the community, to come out and root you on.
And when you were wrestling, it was the unlimited heavyweight too. Remember?
Yeah.
You missed that, the unlimited heavyweight.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm part of a different group. That was, a little bit more hard-nosed wrestling back then. Now, you worry more about people getting hurt. So if you don't have restrictions on certain weight classes, it's not going to be fair to a kid that's 190 who's going out there wrestling somebody that's about 300 pounds. So to tell you the truth, no, I do not.
And the thing Greg and I were talking about a little bit earlier was the girls wrestling and how that's something that's gaining a lot of steam. In terms of that, how do you want to see that kind of grow with the girls being involved in the sport?
Tell you the truth, me being a father of a girl wrestler, she goes out there and gives as best as she can get against the boys. But in all, there is a slight disadvantage because a boy is naturally stronger than the female.
Yeah.
So if we can get it like, say, basketball does, separate the two sexes. They got girls basketball, they got boys basketball. Eventually, that'll come to be.
It's just a matter of getting enough people to participate, right?
Exactly. Once we get the girls out there to come out there and participate, the doors are wide open. VAWA, that's Virginia Wrestling Association, is very heavy up in Northern Virginia. My daughter, that's where she won her 200-pound weight class freestyle championship and earned a spot on the national team over at Fargo, North Dakota. So if there's any ladies out there listening, come on out, get on the mat, put in the work. It's going to take some work. It's not easy. It's not going to be handed to you. So you got to come out here and put in some work. And the rewards, I haven't really wrestled collegially since 2000. But it's a lifetime of rewards.
Yep.
It's always giving back to you.
Your discipline and the friendships that you gain and the lessons that you learn.
Yes, I'm always running into friends and coaches that, like Coach Pearson, coach over at Heritage High School. He was my wrestling coach when I was in high school, still in the game. So I want to give a shout out to Coach Pearson out there.
Hey, how about the WWE, huh?
Well, that's a different story.
Yeah,
I've never had dreams let me take that back. I've had dreams of doing that. But either way you look at it, mixed martial arts, you got UFC. The majority of the fighters out there today can trace their roots back to wrestling.
Yep, absolutely. Again, want to thank you for spending some time with us, brother. Always good to see you. Leon Hicks here.
Thank you, Leon.
And don't forget, I'm a senior. My son is junior. So
yeah, we got Leon Hicks Senior. Will we see Leon Hicks Jr. on the mat in the next couple years?
That's a big, tough call because right now he's doing Boy Scouts. He's not really into, right at the moment, contact sports. Maybe it'll rub off on him. Maybe it won't. But who knows? Time will tell.
Hey, nothing's promised in this world, so we'll see, brother.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, Leon Hicks here, his daughter Ayanna, state champion wrestler here at Woodside High School. And again, doing great things with the Booster Club and the concession stand. So always good to see Leon here.
Yeah. And of course, HBO did a really good special on Andre the Giant, too.
Yeah, well,
I love that.
That's the thing. Even people that say they don't watch wrestling, everybody's watched wrestling at some time in their life, whether they were a little kid or older. And it's just something about those characters like an Andre the Giant or Ric Flair that just kind of jumped off the TV screen.
Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
Well, only 94 seconds left. We're at Woodside High School in Newport News. Greg Bicaveros, Nate Milton. High school basketball on the airwaves here. And condolences, I want to give a shout out to a gentleman you've seen on our air a lot over the years, Sonny Dirth, who lost his father. May his memory be eternal.
Absolutely. Sonny has always been somebody that's been there for us here on the show, been a great friend to us, and it's always good talking to Sonny. So, again, our thoughts and prayers are with them in this loss. And again, nothing is promised. Tomorrow's not promised to any of us. So we have to use the time we have on this earth wisely and treat the people around us with love and respect.
Forgive and forget. No reason to hold a grudge on nobody.
Yeah, life is too short.
Let it go, like Nate said. Here comes Denby going left to right. Might be a little bit too late for the Patriots, but they're trying.
Yeah,
They've also just not enough juice tonight.
Well, that's the thing. You got to give them credit, Greg. They're not giving up,
And then you see Coach Chambly is going right at it with Wilkins.
And That's the sign of a good coach, though. He's always, even though this game is out of reach right now, he's still coaching these young men because who knows, they might be in this same situation in the next game, and so they'll have to do something different for a different outcome.
Woodside got a beautiful court here. Again, thanks to Paul Macklin for all his hospitality. I think what you learned in that interview is at halftime is no matter what sport you play with enthusiasm, desire, and a good attitude.
I definitely agree. It takes hard work. It takes hustle. Also, it takes parents being involved. Like we saw Leon with his daughter Ayana. A lot of times some of these kids, having a parent that is supportive of them and push them in these athletic endeavors, it can be the best thing in the world.
Denby with the ball. They better hurry up and shoot. Nice shot off the glass. By who else? Wilkins.
Denby's got a good team here with Britt and Wilkins and Justice Thomas. They just a little bit undersized and haven't had all the breaks to fall for them tonight. But they got some good players.
And you need at least 12 to 15 players. You need some depth and some energy off the bench.
That's the other thing, because Denby was making a really nice run in the second half, but I think they just got a little tired, got a little fatigued here at the end.
Fast break. And the St. Vincent special. We keep it going. Tony, the St. Vincent special. Tony, if you don't remember, played for St. Vincent's back in the day. Great fast break play. And we name every great fast break after Tony from St. Vincent.
Absolutely. We've seen a couple of them tonight for Denby, particularly with Britt and Wilkins just liking to run that court and press the action, doing their best impression of Tony from St. Vincent, like you mentioned, my friend.
Tony, if you're watching, we love you, my friend. Hey, we mentioned Joe Slade at Warwick. He actually came up to the booth one time during football because we mentioned him so much. He was tickled pink. Tony, you're welcome to come too.
It's a great legacy here, athletics in this area.
And Woodside's going to roll this to the bank. And that seals it. Checkmate. Checkmate. Mike Holman. Final 3 seconds. And the game is over. It took 1 hour and 30 minutes. Woodside wins it. 81-72. Stay tuned.
You don't have to change just to fit in. You don't have to apologize for who you are. Just be yourself, and I promise people will enjoy it. Just be yourself. Be your real, imperfect, flawed, quirky, weird, beautiful, and magical person you are. Be yourself. Because everyone else is already taken. Just be you.
And Woodside wins it 81-72. They beat Denby twice this year. It was really a total team effort.
Absolutely, my friend. It is a big-time matchup that we saw between these two teams. Denby was very game, but you got to give credit. Woodside defended their home court. They came out. They did exactly what they needed to do. Stephon Welch and the Wolverines go home with the W, and unfortunately for Coach Nick Chamblee, the Patriots get the loss.
And you have a short-term memory, survive and advance, move on, and of course Woodside played very well for 32 minutes.
Yeah, Woodside definitely looking good as they're trying to build their way to the postseason. They want to be in top form. I saw a lot of good things tonight from Avery Scott, from Nunez, from Coleman, from Brevard. And that's something they can build on. But for Denby, on the other hand, They didn't win, but I think when you look at players like a Raekwon Britt, like a Justice Thomas, like a Wilkins, those are young men that exemplify, coming out here and playing hard. So both teams can learn something from the night's game.
And Denby can build on from it. Woodside can move on. Yep. We'll have some great games coming up. Look forward to it.
I can't wait, my friend. Game 1 of our basketball season in the books, but we got a lot of action for you this winter, folks.
All right, Woodside wins it at home over their arch rival Denby, 81-72. For Nate Milton and Ray Price, I'm Greg Picaderas. We'll talk to you soon.